before they destroy our collective national heritage, so we can have the Nigeria of our dreams, where there will be light at all times. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
NTA Language.
Jama'a masu kallon labaran NTA Hausa barkanmu da warhaka. Ni ne.
Ekukale lode yin wise kudede.
Igbo murum kachano.
Broadcasted in the language you understand better. Our programs. Transmitting on the Star Times platform 24.
The important issues around climate change. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the ongoing Africa Development Bank annual general meeting in Lusaka, Zambia, where he and other African leaders spoke at the high-level roundtable on the theme Energy and Climate Change. He said Nigeria is one of the major hydrocarbon-enriched countries, adding that to make fossil fuels important, the federal government has to leverage all that it can get from fossil fuel, explaining that the arguments about renewable energy are well noted and Nigeria has the capacity for and is going to tap into solar energy. The vice president said what African leaders are asking from the developed countries is for the technology to make clean coal. He said while Africa is the least contributor to global emissions, yet the continent is also the hardest hit by the whole consequences of climate change, saying the continent really needs the help of the West in particular. Explaining some of the limitations of solar power, for instance, the vice president said African leaders must bear in mind that industry requires the base load power that can move the continent forward quickly, and stressed the need to get power from fossil fuel, hydropower and coal-fired plants. Other speakers at the panel include the presidents of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, and Chad, Idris Deby.
From there to government itself paying its own debts. They were inherited debts. And so before we condemn and crucify all of the operators, we also have a moral obligation to discharge our responsibility, to give them the tools with which to do their work.
On road projects, the minister said about 79 billion naira has been earmarked as quarterly budget. The president, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Otis Nnaji, called for collaboration with relevant professionals in the formulation and execution of the projects. The minister expressed optimism that the country will surmount its present infrastructure challenges with deliberate and concerted efforts. In Abuja, Aisha Uba Ali, NTA News.
Turning to legislative matters, the House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to amend some sections of the 1999 Constitution to empower presidential and governorship running mates to continue as candidates in the event that the principal candidates could not continue for any reason. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The bill, sponsored by Representative Asabe Velita Bashir from Borno State, drew its reference from the last incident in Kogi State, where the death of the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Abubakar Audu created intra-party conflict in the selection of a replacement. Now, this bill seeks to make it mandatory.
In Abuja, to mark 1 year of President Buhari's administration, Gabriel Odu reports.
Looking back, the minister admitted that insurgency was at its peak at the inception of this administration. But now, Boko Haram has been decimated and all occupied territories recovered, hence the relative peace enjoyed now in the northeast.
Where we are today, where Boko Haram is really on the retreat, and you can see is no longer much of a fighting force as such, owes a great deal to those foreign
major producing states in the country. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Ogbe, said efforts are underway to address the situation. Musa Babaliu has details.
The demand and supply of tomatoes, a major soup ingredient, have become a major issue across the nooks and crannies of Nigeria in recent times. There have been short supply of the produce, while the demand is on the increase, resulting in high price of the fruit. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development attributed the scarcity to an outbreak of a disease that destroyed major tomato farms in the country.
This is a very, very powerful infestation, and if not dealt with, could actually make it impossible for us to grow tomatoes in this country.
The government, he said, is engaging scientists with a view to wiping out the disease which got its way into the country through the neighboring Niger Republic.
Government is taking very serious steps to deal with this disease, and that we have to find the funding, bring in the states, the commissioners and the governors, and jointly attack this pest.
Chief Audu Ogwe appealed to Nigerians for understanding and cautioned them against using substandard and uncertified tomato paste being smuggled into the country. In Abuja,
of the Federation, Yemi Adelakun, has as its terms of reference to identify the current challenges hindering prompt payment of retirees' benefits, work out modalities for ensuring the smooth and prompt payment of retirees' benefits at when due, and to advise government to achieve the purpose of pension for retirees. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
And moving now to the judiciary, Nigerians have been told to forge a common front in the fight against corruption. The effort of the current government in this area is to yield more positive results. This was the position of speakers at the Nigerian Bar Association Anti-Corruption Summit held in Abuja. Femi Okeowo reports.
While most Nigerians seem united on the need to confront corruption, they always take divergent positions once the prosecution of some key personalities commences. The Nigerian Bar Association's contribution through its Anti-Corruption Commission Summit is to get Nigerians on the same page when it comes to dealing with corruption.
There is urgent need to have a paradigm shift in terms of our attitude and action and strategy to check abuses of corruption in our national life.
Other speakers followed in the same direction, condemning the handling of corruption in some quarters.
Campaign, which we will soon launch, to try and move us away from this dependence on the single commodity crude oil.
As people go along, they would say, yeah, but it's very difficult now. But at the end of the day, the benefits would begin to manifest, definitely.
It's at 8:30 tonight on the network service of the NTA for the second installment of the Thinking Nigeria series. All NTA stations are advised to hook up. You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Stay tuned for more reports after the break.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Great to have you back on the news on NTA International. The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development says, in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's drive to end violence against children in Nigeria, it has embarked on a holistic advocacy on the full passage of the Child Rights Law. Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Senator Aisha Alhassan, stated this at a press briefing to mark the 2016 National Children's Day. Olajide Bello reports.
Describing children as the greatest resource that any nation could have, Haja Binta Bello, who stood in for the minister, said, despite the fact that Nigeria is currently battling high incidences of violence against children, both federal and state governments are making concerted efforts to ensure the ugly phenomenon is brought to an end.
Our efforts to end violence must start with the protection of our young ones, as every child has the right to freedom from violence, which cut across boundaries of all ages, races, cultures, and wealth.
In its efforts towards ensuring adequate protection of the Nigerian children, the minister disclosed that 23 out of the 36 states, including the FCT, have passed and implemented the child right law, calling on the remaining states to take a cue. In building a Nigeria fit for the children, the minister called on all to come up with concrete actions to end violence against children and forceful child marriages. The theme for this year's Children's Day celebration is Protect the Rights of the Child in the Face of Violence and Insecurity, End Child Marriage. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
The NYSC Legal Aid, known for rendering pro bono services, particularly for people who cannot afford to pay their fines in court and they are awaiting trial so as to decongest the prison. Legal Aid Community Development Services Group, in its Law for Humanity, has extended a hand of fellowship to internally displaced persons camp at Durumi, Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports that the gesture is part of activities by the group to mark the Children's Day.
We went to the Kuje prison and we were able to secure the release of over 18 of those kind of people.
We've seen their condition and it's not what somebody should face.
The members of the NYSC Legal Aid Community Development Service Group have followed the ravaging effects of insurgency on the people, hence the visit to the IDP's camp where they distributed food items to the people.
You must have a heart to accommodate those who do not have, to enable you give out.
Do not wait until it's convenient. People out there that are not in prisons but still do not have a means of survival should also be considered.
The camp's coordinator of Governmental and Public Affairs, Idris Halilu, while thanking the Youth Corps members for the gesture, appealed to government to help build a mobile clinic for the camp.
As to the items they brought, honestly, if it is 10 lives it touches, that's a number. Not talk of it will reach at least 100, 200 people in a population of over 2,000.
They believe that if more people show solidarity to the IDPs, little more comfort would have been given to those in need. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Monetary Policy Committee rose from its 250th meeting in Abuja to announce greater flexibility in foreign exchange market management. The Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, who announced the imminent economic recession resulting from heavy shocks on the nation's economy. Finance and economy correspondent Cliff Ayose reports.
With high expectations on Naira devaluation, the Monetary Policy Committee unanimously adopted all monetary instrument positions with monetary policy rate at 12%, cash reserve ratio at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. The Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria says, given the need for balance between stability and growth, the committee approved adoption of greater flexibility in the management of foreign exchange market, but will retain a window for what was described as critical transactions. Modalities on the new policy will be announced soon.
The NPC voted unanimously to adopt a flexible exchange rate policy to restore the automatic adjustment properties of the exchange rate. Consequently, all 9 members voted to hold and introduce flexibility in managing the foreign exchange rate.
On inflation, he said the inflationary rate at 13.8% is driven by what he described as supply factors, while acknowledging that late passage of 2016 budget, scarcity of fuel and high electricity tariff did not impact positively on the economy.
The need to reappraise the coordination mechanism between monetary and fiscal policy and initiate reforms for the purpose of more efficient policy synchronization and management.
The central bank governor also spoke on the need for more proactive monetary and fiscal policies going forward. The governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says that the economic recession, of which alarm was raised in July 2015, is imminent, but believes that effective implementation of the 2016 budget will have positive impact on Nigeria's economy. In Abuja, Cliff Ayose, NTA News.
Many thanks, Cliff. It's now time for other stories on the economy with Muplan Dakok.
Thank you for joining us on Business News. We begin with the forecast by the African Development Bank, which says Africa's economy is likely to grow by 3.7% this year The bank, in its latest regional economy outlook in Zambia, said growth could accelerate to 4.5% in 2017 if commodity prices recover and the global economy strengthens. Still on the African Development Bank, the bank's delegation will visit Egypt from June 29 to hold talks with senior government officials on the second installment of the bank's $1.5 billion loan to support Egypt's state budget. Egypt had in January received $500 million of the $1.5 million loan, and Kenya's central bank has reduced its policy lending rate by 100 basis points to 10.5%, saying inflation was expected to decline further. Let's now take a quick look at the Nigeria stock market, which closed on a positive note this Tuesday. That does it on this segment. Stay tuned for more news.
Let's quickly join Obiagele Ugoke for foreign news.
Egyptian forensics officials says human remains retrieved from the crash site of Egyptian flight 804 suggests there was an explosion on board that may have brought down the aircraft. The official is part of the Egyptian investigation team and has personally examined the remains of a Cairo morgue. All 66 people on board were killed when the Airbus 320 crashed in the Mediterranean early Thursday while en route Paris to Cairo. And the European Union is criticizing all parties in South Sudan for human rights abuses and killings of civilians, saying they must cease immediately. 28 EU foreign ministers said in a statement that killings of civilians, sexual violence and recruitment of child soldiers have been perpetrated in South Sudan by all parties in total impunity. The EU has placed an arms embargo on the nation with visa ban against a number of South Sudanese officials. Moving on, this week marks 25 years since Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in a conflict which lasted 3 decades. The Eritrean government organized huge celebrations in respect of the commemoration of their freedom. At a carnival in the capital, Asmara, people reenacted key moments from the war. Tens of thousands of Eritrean women fought alongside men in the war for independence, making up more than a quarter of the army's fighting force by the end of the conflict. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
Stakeholders urged Nigerian athletes to intensify training ahead of the 2016 Rio Olympics as Andy Murray fights back to reach round 2 of the French Open. Ayodeji Makinde brings us more on Sports Update.
Former Director General of the National Sports Commission, Amos Adamu, has decried the poor state of sports facilities in the country, blaming paucity of funds as the cause. Adamu, who believes that improved facilities for training will assist athletes perform better at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, however, urged them to remain focused.
I believe that the athletes know that the Olympics is not a tea party, so they must be training very hard.
The 2016 National Prospects Camp for budding basketball talents has been described as one of the good things to have happened in Nigeria basketball in the last 10 years. The annual program, which produced D Tigresses forward Sarah Imofbio, attracted over 40 under-18 players to Abuja, as organizers say it is a basic foundation for the development of the sport in the country.
We want to identify and help groom them for the future.
The Federal Road Safety Corps has vowed to continue to contribute to sports development in Nigeria through the active participation of its athletes in national and international competitions. FRSC Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi stated this while receiving trophies from outstanding sports teams within the Corps, including handball, football and wrestling in Abuja Tuesday.
We are making our impact felt and we continue to contribute to the sports development of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm proud of our players.
Men's second seed Andy Murray dug deep to qualify for the second round of the 2016